Namaskaram everyone. Welcome to my channel. And today is the next episode of Conscious Conversation, the fifth episode. And today I'm having a conversation with Nicola Anna. So he's again from my same batch, 2019. We did Hatha Yoga Teacher Training together. And fortunately, I had a chance to had a conversation with him twice or thrice in our training. But I would like to know more about his journey and about him. So today I asked him to have a conversation with me, and he was gracious enough to agree that and having a conversation. So, Namaskaram, Anna, and a very, very warm welcome to you. I'm very happy that you accepted it, and today for this, conversation. So you can start with an introduction about yourself. How was your childhood? How was you as a child? And about your educational background, about your family. We can start with that.
Sure. Namaskaram, everyone. Thank you, Payal, for inviting me to participate in this conversation. It's a pleasure to be here and speaking with you. So I'll start with a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in a big city in the south of Italy called Naples. And I studied in Naples until my high school. And then when I turned 18, I decided to take a big step and actually move to London. So I moved to London, and that's where I did my university. So I went there when I was 18, and I was studying economics. And then I actually remained in London for 12 years. So after university, I did some work. I was working for a private jet company in the sales department. So we were selling hour on private jets, literally like a fly hours. And then after 4 years, I decided to. I really wanted to have my own company. I had like this desire and these thoughts in my head. So I left my job and I decided to set up my own company, which was dealing with import and distribution of Italian food products, ingredients and desserts, biscuits. Mainly it was like sweet products, also from the south of Italy, like which is famous for this kind of food products. So I was doing that for a couple of years. And then, I decided to close the company. Then I started the journey with Isha, which actually began in 2015. But then in 2016, I decided to go back to Naples, where I'm currently living now.
So, like, how was you as a child? Have you ever had any inclination towards spirituality, and what about your parents, and how was it growing up, about your siblings, if you can talk about that?
Sure. So I grew up in a typical like Western, culture. So I have a sibling, I have a sister. We grew up together in the same family, in the same house, all together, and it was. I didn't really have such a great childhood in the sense that I would get sick quite often, especially winter time. I wasn't too much of an active kid. It was also, I think, the food. I was always been used to have like industrial food, like typical Western kind of city life. In the winter, I would be like, there would be no chance to actually spend time in nature. So yeah, it's really interesting how to see how everything is completely changed now. with all the practices, with with Isha, after discovering Isha and everything. It's really now I can see the kind of culture, the kind of habits, the food. For instance, in my family, they were cooking meat. The culture here is not vegetarian. So eating meat in the winter, like spending a lot of time indoors, not doing so much physical activity as well. So now that I'm doing something completely different, I can see the difference it makes in all these like habits, and I can see with my parents, they still, and people around me that I grew up with. They some of them, even my classmates, they're my same age, and they look a lot older. You can see how just the habits, and there's a lot of compulsions as well. Like majority of the people of my age, like they smoke, they drink alcohol. So the background was the childhood was very Western habits. In terms of food, in terms of like physical activity, and then Italian, like we probably very similar to like Indian culture. We spend a lot of time together as like collective culture, so like family based, growing up, and it's.
What do your father does for the living? So how, and your mother was working or she wasn't? What about them? If you can talk about, and your relationship with them, how was it and how is it now? Yeah.
Sure. So my father is a doctor, he's a radiologist.
Oh.
And my mother, she's a professor, she's a teacher in secondary school. So they were not much at home. I grew up with babysitter, and we would spend time maybe at dinner, have dinner together, and then the weekends together we would go to my grandmother for like every Sunday for lunch, and the relationship was there were arguments, and with my sister as well. She's 4 years older than me. So I don't know, maybe it wasn't the best atmosphere. But yeah, and then now recently, when the last 5 years ago, my father retired, and also my mother as well. And my sister, she moved to London before me, and she remained there. So now she has 2 kids, and she's currently living in London. So our relationship is much better now. And I'm able to, also because, the transformation, the process I went through, I'm able to have a much better relationship with them for sure. And I'm actually currently living with my mother. We have a big apartment in Naples. So it's kind of like 2 apartments. So I live in one side of the apartment and she lives in the other. But yeah, the atmosphere is much better, and we're able to connect much better.
So when did you decided everything, this spiritual journey and everything? Were your parents in shock, like this path you have chosen, or they would have never expected this? So how was it in that terms? Or it was okay, it was your choice to choose whatever you want to choose?
So I discovered Sadhguru first in 2015, completely randomly.
That time you were in the you have started some startup company, so that was so at that time you went means you got in connection with Sadhguru, or it was before that?
It was after.
Okay.
So I had the company from 2012 to 2014.
Oh.
And then yes, it was in 2015 that I met Sadhguru online, and it was completely random. And also, I was completely skeptical about, anything that had to do with spirituality. It was in my culture. There's absolutely nothing, spiritual is religion. We're Catholic. And I had completely different interests and priorities in life. So I really did not ever imagine that I would be interested in any of this. But yeah, just browsing on the web in 2015, I came across this article. It was just Sadhguru talking about different aspects, and he was just doing that in such a clear way that it just really struck me. So I thought, okay, this is interesting. He's talking about things so logically and on the completely different aspects that I would never I never come across anyone speaking on different aspects and so clear. So I decided, okay, naturally. I started to follow him, on the social media and read more and more of his articles and also watching some videos. I don't know, it just impacted me the way he was just explaining simple, basic facts about life. It was just really interesting. It was just really making me want to know more and more and read more and more and watch his videos more and more. And at the time I was still in London. So my family was, my parents were based actually in Naples. Yeah, I was talking to them about this, but it was completely normal. But then it was actually, I was really still skeptical, I wanted to see and test. So at the beginning, I started to follow some of, Sadhguru's advice on different things. And I was incorporating, what he was saying about food, about different aspects. So I could see it was really working for me. I could see the benefits of everything. So I was, okay. Then I kept testing it, and I was like, no, this is not possible. There's got to be something, that is not like he says. And then I would test and test, and then actually everything came out as he was saying. And so after quite a long time, like almost a year, I decided to do the first course with Isha to learn the first practice. I was lucky because I was living still in London at the time. It was 2016. And there was an inner engineering course taking place in London. So yeah, at the time, my family, I was just reading articles and things, so there was really no issue whatsoever. But then in 2016, I took my first course, the inner engineering, and I went on doing the practice. And then that was exactly when I moved back to Naples in 2016. And
so did initiation, there was Sadhguru for initiation, or you did it when there were other inner engineering teachers were there? Because, I find it like in India, it is very rarely happens that you got a chance now, especially now that Sadhguru is initiating you. Otherwise, it's generally with teachers, and you get initiated with Sadhguru only, definitely, like through, but, through the, we can say through an audio or video, but but in foreign, sometimes it is mainly like it happens that Sadhguru is also there. There are chances. So were you fortunate enough that time Sadhguru was there when you did inner engineering, or it was like other teachers?
It was a teacher, inner engineering teacher. It was actually a very small course. It was only, I think, 60 maybe, or 50 or 60 people.
Okay.
At the time, I didn't even know, to be honest, that Sadhguru was actually initiating, into Shambhava Mudra, doing it personally. So I didn't even know, and I just knew I wanted to do inner engineering, and I went online and I just saw this course. I found out that there was a possibility to also do it with him personally only after. But having said that, it was a great experience.
I said you that even if he is not there physically, we are getting initiated by him only. So that is not a case. But I'm just asking because sometimes it's happened like in London, especially, or not in London, anywhere. If there are chances of happening, rare chances that you can get initiated, live with him. Yeah.
I made up for it though, because I went and I did some volunteering for an inner engineering that Sadhguru did in person in London.
Okay.
A few years after, so I got both experiences, and I don't know. I guess I mean the experience is very powerful on both ends. Even though I was only a volunteer on the second time, with Sadhguru in person. But at the same time, I also like the experience firsthand because it was a 4-day actually course. With Sadhguru, it was only 2 days. It was like a completion only of the inner engineering. So I don't know. I really like also my first experience. I don't know. I think I would have enjoyed either way.
Actually, that's what it said. We are getting initiated with him only. If he is in person or it's through an audio, it's the same thing. But yeah, so yeah, you can talk about your mandala. So how did you experience it? And yeah, we can continue. Yeah.
Sure. So I was practicing in the beginning. It was a bit weird for me because at the time I was practicing a lot of sports and also going to the gym, swimming, playing football. So it was just different movements of the body. It was also completely new for me in the sense that I was just me in the house, doing it by myself, and it was more like an inner thing as well. A lot of the practices are done with the eyes closed, so it was more like also an inner exploration, which was completely new because all the other things I was doing was more like aerobic, sports fitness. So it took me a lot of work at the beginning to get used to this because it was very new. And I did it for some time. I could see some benefits, but it was not an explosion. But then I kept on doing it for a few months, and then I don't know, for whatever reason, it was. I would say now, probably, I don't know if I'm wrong, but in my experience, because I was doing as well a lot of gym, like weights and stuff, then maybe also like body-wise, I was like a bit tense. But after a few months, yeah, I stopped the gym, and in the meantime, so I was only doing this. And also some sports like swimming and stuff. But then I could really see, I don't know, my body was becoming more prepared to kind of receive the, I don't know, like to gradually experience more and more the joy of the practice and, all the benefits that it brings. And then it was after a few months that actually it just came to me, the experience, and it was just really so beautiful. And since that moment, I just, kept on doing it every day till now. But it was very subtle process, it was very gradual. And then it was just after a while, I don't know whether it was my body that changed, that got prepared to this spirit, like to actually, get the most out of this practice, or it was maybe the atmosphere as well around me was changing. But yeah, it came to a point after a few months that it was really like, whoa, it was such a pleasure to do practice, and it would really affect me like throughout the day. So I would be much more calm and also blissed out. It would just really gave me that kind of ecstatic experience that would make me go through the day like just in a completely different way. It would just be the experience I had of the day was just different because of that practice. So yeah, and then I was like, okay, again, I was still skeptical. Okay, what is happening? I don't know exactly what is happening, and I have like a Western mind, so always question everything, very logical. So I was thinking, okay, yeah, this is working. So let's, I want to do the next step. But it took me a year. So I waited for a year gradually to see, okay, this is this, and this is what's happening, and okay, I feel really good. So many things are changing in me in a positive way. I feel more free. My compulsions are going down. My sleep quota is going down. I feel healthier. And it's just such more, pleasant, everything. Like, even though the circumstances are the same, like I'm doing the same things, it just feels different. And also my priority, I start appreciating a lot more like different things, like being in nature, eating like, natural food and all this. And also a lot more conscious about what I do and the consequence that it has on me. So yeah, so then I decided to do another course, the Bhava Spandana, in 2017.
But that is in live. You have to go into ashram. You went to India and came ashram, or you did it in Italy or London, wherever you were. I think you were in Italy that time, right?
Yeah, so I moved back to Italy in 2016. So I came across the opportunity to do Bhava Spandana. I found out about Bhava Spandana happening in France. So yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm ready for next step. And at the time, actually, I didn't know the Hatha Yoga. I didn't even know there was an opportunity to learn Hatha Yoga. So I was like, okay, it seemed, for me, it seems the next step. It's like Bhava Spandana. I was actually wondering because I came across also the Shunya program, like the information about the Shunya. So I was wondering, but then there was a Bhava Spandana opportunity. So I was like, okay, let's. I read a little bit about Bhava Spandana. Watched the introductory video and all, and it really like struck me deep. So I was like, okay, I want to do Bhava Spandana. So yeah, I went to do Bhava Spandana. I didn't want to read too much about it. I didn't talk to anybody who had done it previously. So I didn't want to form any expectations or anything. I didn't want to know anything. I just wanted to go there and experience it. And it was, I think, maybe to this moment, definitely one of the biggest experiences I've had in my life. It was, I don't know, the practice was incredible. The experience was incredible. The place was incredible. It was like in the countryside, in the middle of nowhere, so very natural place. And I don't know, it just transformed me completely. It just gave me that experience that I needed, that I really wanted. And of course, we can't talk about it too much because it's Bhava Spandana, but it just really, I didn't think it was possible to have these kind of experiences as a human being. I didn't even imagine that was possible. So it just, after that, my whole, the clarity I had was completely different about, just the life, the existence in general, by my own experience. Everything was very, very different. And I was like so energetic for like a long time, a few months, like really, 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 like really energetic. I really, like, I don't know, it just felt so good.
Yeah, so, but Bhava Spandana, you don't have any practice to do afterwards. So it's a one-time thing that you do. It's nothing, there's no, continuation practice something. So after that, you will continue with inner engineering, our Shambhavi. So when did you learn then Shunya, or you have come across Hatha Yoga practices? So can talk about that.
So I did things very gradually, as being still skeptical. I was like, okay, I wanted to know what's happening with me, with my system. So I waited again another year. So Bhava Spandana was in 2017, and then I was still doing my Shambhavi every day. Actually, I was doing it twice a day. I was like, okay, so, again, I wanted to do the next step. I came across again, and had the Shunya program, which was happening in Holland, still in Europe. The Shunya and the Shakthi, chalana, kriya. So it was actually, sorry, no, that was after. At 2017, I wanted to do the Hatha Yoga. I came to know about the Hatha Yoga. I knew that I came to know that Isha was, also teaching Hatha Yoga, and I was like, okay, I really wanted to learn Hatha Yoga because the main benefits they were listed about Hatha Yoga was, to have like a really stable body, stable mind, and to really create like a basic, strong foundation and platform. So I was really, really intrigued, and I wanted to know, how I could learn all the practices and dedicate maybe a month of time in this. And then I came to know about the 21-day Hatha Yoga program happening in the ashram. And at the time, I also really wanted to go to the ashram to actually, go into the Dhyanalinga and do the experience of the ashram, because at the time I watched so many videos as well about Dhyanalinga ashram and everything. So I was like, okay, I really want to go there. What should I do? And it just made sense to, okay, so I go to the ashram, I get the experience of the ashram, and also I get to learn the Hatha Yoga practices. So I decided to do the 21-day Hatha Yoga course in the ashram. And from the beginning, it was just like I just got fire like gasoline. It was just it was really having a big impact on me, on my body, on my mind. I could just feel like even more and more and more of a distance between me, my body, and my mind. Things were a lot clearer. My breath just slowed down a lot. The body got a lot more stable, spine a lot more erect. And yeah, I was very transformed after the 21 days. I did not know this.
So how was your, what you were doing in between that? You were doing a job, means have a startup company before. So at that time you got a 21 days break, and so whatever you were doing professionally that time, or you were taking a break at that point of time?
So when I decided to move back to Naples, back to Italy in 2016, I quit my job. So I started my father has a firm, like some agricultural lands. So he produces commercial crops like wheat and some other crops like beans, lentils, different pulses. So he was always telling me, you should come back to Italy, you should help me out with the company. When I decided to move back to Naples, it was also due to this, to help my father, like a little bit on the company, more overviewing, everything. So yeah, I came back with the idea of like helping him out. But it's always been also like a part-time kind of thing. It was never, so I had a lot of free time, luckily, on my hand. Mm-hmm. So they helped me take the decision that I did take in the end. So, I had free time. So, okay, I wanted to do all the practices. So at the time I was only doing Shambhavi twice. But then I was like, okay, I want to incorporate more practices, and I want to just get deeper into it, really try to get it as deep as possible into this, because I was seeing so many benefits. I was, this is really working for me on all levels. So then I decided to do 21 day, and after when I came back, I was very transformed, even body-wise. I was very sporty. I was doing a lot of exercise sports, playing football, swimming, but this was, I was still training my body. I was, I had like a weaker constitution, but I could see, my spine was getting stronger, my body was getting stronger, but at the same time, this was like a side effect. It was such a complete. All the practices, they were such complete practices that you do not just feel and build a stronger body, a stronger spine, but also you feel much more joyful, much more in balance. Your mind as well, it's like a lot calmer. You're a lot more intuitive. You can see everything about you works a lot better. So it was just so much more complete. Then naturally, not for any reason in particular, I just, after learning all these practices, then I decided to give priority to this, because I could see really what this was doing, and it was doing it on all levels. Where I see all the sports I was doing, it was keeping me fit, going to the gym and playing football and all, but it was only like the physical aspect, the aerobic exercise and the fitness, and just on the surface it was working. It wasn't really kind of giving me that inner balance that the practices gave.
So how was your first experience when you landed to ashram? Like, how was it? What did you like the most? And also your experience about first time going to Dhyanalinga or Bhairavi temple, if you can talk about that.
Sure. It was interesting at the beginning. I got there at night, so the first day I was just really tired. It was like 2-day flight. But then the following day, I woke up like at 4:30 naturally. I could see like, energy-wise, the space as something different. Then I was walking around. It was like kind of dawn almost. And the place is just so unique. It's very natural. It's a foothill. And all the architecture, the temples, and all the structure of the ashram, they're done in such a I don't know, exotic way, such a completely different architecture from Western architecture, and completely built in nature. And also you can feel a completely different energy there, both because of the energy. I mean, not only for the energy, but also the nature, and also because of the people there. They have like a completely different energy as well. So all these things combined, it was just like I was just walking around and see the place and feel different. It was something very different. And I was walking around the steps to the just where the how you call it, the big steps with the not the Adiyogi Alayam, but just next to it, where there is the Kund, the Surya Kund. So just as the steps to go there, and it was like at dawn, and I was just looking at the mountains, and people were doing Guru Puja, so there's some chants, and just the whole atmosphere was just so mystical, and I don't know, so energetic. I was just like, whoa, where is this place? Like, this is something completely different. Like, it almost feels out of this earth, out of this planet. So it was that kind of experience I had, like the first just impression. I think everybody should go at least once in their lifetime to like.
What about the Dhyanalinga? So when did you went for the first time? So there is always a build up for a Dhyanalinga. We always see the videos and everything, and we really want to go there. So once you go there, so what did you expected, and what happened? If you want to articulate it, so how do you do that?
The Dhyanalinga was, I didn't know what to expect, because this is completely different from me. Even here in Italy, we don't even have temples or anything like that. And this is completely, I don't know, something I never experienced. So, but I had seen a lot of videos, and, of course, Sadhguru talking about it in detail. So I went in there with no expectation. At first, at first I was really impressed by the structure, it just, the architecture is just mind-blowing. And I was just meditating. I was getting into meditative states really easily. And it was a very pleasant experience. I could just sit there for a lot longer than, I was just going there for like 15 minutes, but I could just sit longer. But after I did learn the practice, so I went there at different stages, out of my 23-week period where I was staying there. And I could see by doing the practices as well, I was becoming more receptive. So every time I would go to the Dhyanalinga, the following times I would go to Dhyanalinga, I would feel more the space. I would be more. I could feel that I was becoming more and more receptive to it, and the experience was more and more powerful. And it was a lot more than the year after when I went for the teacher training. I could just see how the practices, they make you more receptive, and how my experience was getting more and more deeper, depending on how receptive I was. But it was very pleasant. It was very new experience. I was very, very meditative, no thoughts, just really pleasant and completely at ease. And then Linga Bhairavi, the same. So gradually I was getting more and more of an experience. At the beginning, I wasn't feeling too much. So I was spending more time in the Dhyanalinga, out of the two. But then exactly the same as the Dhyanalinga, I would just more and more, I would get like, every time I would go, I would get more experience out of it. But then it's a different experience. You feel more like a sense of like protection, warmth, or at least that was in my experience with the Linga Bhairavi. Whereas with the Dhyanalinga, you just, it's more like the zero kind of thing, like you're more just detached and in a really deep meditative state.
What about Kund? So Surya Kund, if you went there, how was it? Except it is very cold. That is there. Yeah. I think the water is so cold. Yeah.
It's very cold, but very energizing at the same time. So I was going there most of the time before the Dhyanalinga, going to the Dhyanalinga. Yeah, and I was really liking it. Also because it was, when I went there, it was like kind of end of April, so it was like summertime, and it was very hot. So it was great to get this, but also you could feel this something that the water does to you, that you just afterwards, you just feel so energized. And this was, even though, we were sleeping like very little at night, and it was like long hours of yoga, and meditation during the day. So I was feeling tired, especially like sort of like midday. But still, you would go to the Kund, and afterwards, definitely, yeah, like I could see the impact he had, like I was really energized.
Yeah, for me, like, just to share about, like, I think Kunda was one of my favorite places in the whole ashram. Because I used to go almost every day, even we had such a hectic schedule, but I'll not stay for a long time in the Kund, but I just make sure that at least, means most of my 5 months training time, I went almost every day to Kund. And I'm very afraid of cold water. I've never had a shower. So usually people have a cold bath, cold shower with the cold water, but I had a fear about it. But somehow I got it, attracted to it, or because the way you feel bodiless when you go inside, that this different kind of energy you feel about it. And it was somewhat I really wanted to go there often. And once you go from there to Dhyanlingam or Bhairavi, I think the experience is totally very different than what you experience if you go without it. So I think for me, especially the Chandrakund was my favorite. For ladies, there is a Chandrakund. So it was my favorite place in the whole ashram. I used to just love to go there. So then,
Yeah, it's incredible
how
how these little things, they help you with the experience.
1 minute? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry.
It's just incredible how when you become more and more like conscious with the practices, you just start to notice how different things impact you so much on the experience. So if you, for instance, you were saying like you go to the Kund and then you go to the Dhyanalinga is one experience. If you go to the Kund, it's not the same experience. This goes with just so many different aspects. The kind of food that you have, you can just feel. Maybe if you go to the Dhyanalinga just after the food, on a full stomach as well. The effects. Like there's just so many different aspects. And the beautiful thing about the practice, they make you more and more conscious, so you're able to recognize. This like little subtler like dimensions.
So among all the practices that you learned, which practice did you were able to connect the most? Like it was Surya Kriya or Yogasanas or Bhuta Shuddhi or Angamardana Upayoga are more in physical, but in terms of spiritual, what did you find it more connecting? Some are more able to connect to Surya Kriya or some are more able to connect on Yogasana. So for you, which practices you were able to, connect more of?
So I fell in love with all of them.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. All of them have a different impact on your body, your mind. That's so true. But still, like for me, I think Surya Kriya was something which I used to connect more initially, and then slowly and gradually I was, able to connect with Yogasana. So for you, have you also experienced like this, or it was?
I mean, I love them all. Maybe Angamardana.
Okay.
Maybe Angamardana was because it was more like in physically intense practice, and I was really craving for like a practice that would also be like really intensive. So yeah, Angamardana had a big impact on me because then afterwards I would just feel so stable, even physically. My body wouldn't even move, and I would sleep a lot better as well. So, and also because I was coming from kind of sporty kind of, history. I was doing a lot of sports. So Angamardana was really like, wow experience. But all of them, even Surya Kriya with all which is even more subtle, and Yogasanas as well. When I was doing, because we were doing, 2 sets of practices. So when I was doing the afternoon session, I would just get into like blissed out states. I was just doing my Yogasana. Sometimes I was just laughing because I would just feel so pleasant. So yeah, I don't know. I just love them all. And then after the 21 day, I just decided I will practice all of them. I don't care how much time it takes me, because I would just feel so a sense of freedom and lightness. And also my meditation. So the Shambhavi after was also a lot more explosive. So I could see that was completely complementary as well with the meditation practice. The in this case, yeah, Shambhavi.
So when did you decide to do Hatha Yoga Teacher Training then?
So I had this in my mind already. I was like, okay, this is like really taking me to a different place in my life. I wake up with a smile. I go to sleep with a smile. I go to bed with a smile. So I was like, okay, this is like, I really want to, because I could see like the impact it had on me, and I could see people around me, we're just living the same life as always, same problems, and a lot of health problems, especially in the West, the kind of society I grew up with. There's a lot of like mental pressure. My peers, a lot of them into alcohol. some of them drugs. So when I, started to experience all these benefits with all the practices, it was always in the back of my mind, was, okay, like, I can really see myself, and it would feel amazing and really beautiful to be able to also pass this on to other people, to pass these practices so that then the people can themselves experience this and live like such a more stable and joyful life, and without having to do anything on the outside, just simply do the practices and come out of so many different physical, mental ailments, and just live I have a completely different experience of life. So it's okay, this was in the back of my mind. I wanted to go to the ashram to see how the ashram was, to see if I could really do it, and to learn the Hatha Yoga practices and to incorporate them, to really see exactly what it was doing to me, like practice and practice and practice. To see this is not like something you do, it really works on all levels. I really wanted to make sure of that. And then, after the 21 day, I knew, okay, I'm going to apply for the teacher training. So I was like, okay, I want to do the other program, which was a Shunya in the meantime. So it was an opportunity in January in 2019. It was in Holland again. So I incorporated Shunya and Shakthi and Chalana Kriya into my practice, and I could see like another step. It's like every practice I learned with Isha is like a big step up in terms of like clarity, in terms of like intuition, especially with the Shakti Chalana Kriya. It felt like a lot of things that I had to think logically before, like for every decision, I had to go like through a proper like step-by-step logical process. With the Shakti Chalana Kriya and Shunya, it felt like I was a lot more intuitive. So I didn't have to think too much, and I didn't have to go through all the time for everything. I was a lot more like, okay, I knew this already, this is like this. I don't know, my perception as well went up like a lot. So it was like, with all the practices, I experienced all these benefits, but it's always like a step up. And at the same time, the practice keep evolving. So if you do, when I was doing every day, I could just see more and more clarity, more and more stability, more and more perception. So it was working on both levels. And I was, okay, definitely I'm going to do the definitely I'm going to apply for the teacher training program. And so, in January, I applied for it. I heard, this time I did hear some people who had done the program before. And all of them, they were telling me, this is really intense. This is really intense, like with a look on their face, like, this is really intense. And I was thinking in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm already doing a few hours practice. I'm already doing all the practices every day, and I've been doing this for a while. I've already been in the ashram. So it's okay, this is fine. I really like intense, I like to push myself to the limit, both mentally and physically. But I didn't know what they meant until...
I think for me, it's the opposite. I just went there. I never, in my life, I have not learned all the practices before. When I applied, I just did inner engineering, that's all. That too was not very regular, and even all the practices, Hatha Yoga practices, there was 2 compulsory practices you have to learn before you come. So I have learned Surya Kriya and Angamardana. But were not very regular about it, and I just came. For me, it was much more, because in terms of everything. But you were like, you were very regular about your practices and something, so you must have felt like it's okay, I could manage. But everybody feels like that. But when we go there, we know.
Exactly. You only know by experience. People can tell you, every kind of thing, prepare you mentally, and also mentally, you're just stretched to such a level, such a point. But I don't know. It's maybe the only way to cross the limitation. to go to the edge and push it and push it and push it. So
yeah, we can talk about like training. How was it for you, the whole journey, and also which were your favorite parts about the training? And you can just go tell something about your 5 months about the training.
So it's been probably the most challenging thing I've ever done in my life. It was to do with the intense schedule. So every day, do so many hours of like yoga and meditations for such a long time. But at the same time, you have to do so many other things, volunteering. And so basically you have a full on schedule the whole day. And you also sleep very little in order to do all of that, of course. Of course, the practice helps you a lot and you have all the support in place, but still, you're kind of on the edge. Everything is new, Yeah, I was in a different country as well, different climate, different food. And I don't know, it was tough because of the intensity, the level and the amount of activity for me. So I would just feel sometimes mentally in a difficult space because there was so many things to do and I really wanted to do them well, but there was not enough time. So there was a pressure within me, but at the same time I would feel so amazing because of the practices. So I don't know, it was amazing, but then at the same time, it was very challenging. Sometimes it was very tough going to bed. You just start questioning about yourself. Emotionally, you start going into turmoil because you feel, okay, you start having so many doubts about you. Am I really going to be able to do this? Feel tired and, this is like hurting body-wise. I don't know, like, okay, I have to do this and this at this time. So I always have to be on, if I feel off a little bit, then I really feel that I'm not able to do the activity that I want to do. So yeah, I don't know, it was for me, it was more mentally challenging. I don't know, but at the same time, so sometimes I feel really down emotionally because, okay, like, this is like, too much and I want to rest a little bit. I want to take like a day off. But at the same time, some other day I just felt so high, like energy-wise and so intense and doing so many things and so alive that it just actually felt so wonderful. So it was kind of like a roller coaster all over, like for me.
I remember when we went to a trip, I remember it very clearly. Let me know if I'm wrong. We were there upstairs. We did some practices. There was not enough time that day to do some practices. And I remember you were alone doing some practices downstairs and you have skipped your food. I think, am I right? I remember it very clearly. And you were doing your practices and like, what is happening to this man? He has not eaten. You have not eaten the food, but you choose to do the practices instead. It was an optional thing that day for doing it or not. And I remember it. It was the last trip of ours, or it was in between. But I remember it very clearly, and it stuck with me. So I can understand because before the training also you were so because of the benefits you can see about the practices, you were very regular about it. And I think that day also you were doing the practices instead of chilling or letting it go, or taking that much time off or something. So Am I right? Right? You
Yes,
were the.
it's nice that you say this because a lot of other, our classmates, they noticed this. Um, and, there was like a teacher coming to me and it's like, the dinner is ready. Like, don't worry about the practices, just, go for dinner with everyone else. And I was like, no, but don't worry, I already had like a snack in the afternoon. I'm fine. I really want to do the practices, Yeah, I was just that I missed because you were doing it, twice a day for like, so many hours, and also it was already ingrained in my system. So I felt because you were on a trip, so there was no time, for practice that day. But I really felt like I wanted to do them, because I don't know, there was something missing for me and I wanted to get the benefit out of it. And I really, really wanted to do them. So there was a chance, it was either I was going to have dinner or do the practices. And and I decided to do the practice. And also because I decided to do the training as intense as possible. People were like stopping me in the ashram, in the alayam, in the hall. The other classmates, the teachers, like, wait, but you're so intense all the time. You're always on. You're always on. You're always on. And I was telling them, also some words from Sadhguru is like, you here now, there's not going to be that much opportunity for you to be in a consecrated spaces for so long and to be able to do the practice and derive the benefits and really get the experience out of it. So I had the kind of urge, like I really, really want to get the most out of it. So I was really on all the time, and I was sleeping even less probably than most people there because I wanted to do my meditation practices in the morning before starting. I wanted to be able to do all the activities to my best, like throughout the day. So I really wanted just to be on, and I knew the only way I could really be on and perform at my best if it was and sleep so little and still be completely fine during the day and do everything. It was only if I was doing my practices. So that day I was like, okay, because also I think the following day there was so many things that we had to do and everything. It was like, I want to do the practices. I want to be on and so it's.
What did you like the most about our training? Except now the hard part is okay, but when did you had a fun? Like in the festivals that we celebrated or in our trips? Or like we had a conversation with our teachers, they were sharing their experience, or the question answer sessions that we used to have together. So which part did you like the most? When did you
So I like so many things. It's difficult to mention, but certainly there are a few things. Going to the Bhiksha hall for food. One of the is just the kind of food they cook there is, even though it's completely different from the kind of food I'm used to, because in the West, we cook very differently. But the taste was just so amazing. That's why I'm so glad as well that you opened up the channel and you started sharing the recipes, which I'm trying to recreate at home. Sometimes almost the same, sometimes not as much, but I try to do my best. So thank you for this. And the weather was amazing as well. It's like warm throughout, which is, you blessed in India, like to have this kind of weather. So you can be outside throughout the year and, enjoy like the warm weather and be, here in Italy as well, we get the winter, like people don't, you can't really go out often and stuff. So the weather, the food, it was amazing. I mean, on top of the practices, which is of course the main thing, on top of the actual training, the way they teach us to become teachers, which is also really amazing because the way the teachers follow us in our journey, the way they correct us every day in everything that we do, the way they support us, is not only for us to be able to then teach, but it's also for us to improve as human beings. So I was always loving, like, all the feedback sessions that we had on all the activities we were doing, how to actually improve and get them better. the practices, the practice corrections, how to improve, even like tiny little details. And I would just feel so fulfilled after this, because it's like, okay, I now know what I need to do in order to push forward and to be better and to, take it to a step further and further and further. And on, parallel to all this, it was beautiful to be with so many other people. So the social aspect as well, right?
So many countries and so many type of people. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, people from completely different ages, completely different backgrounds, completely different countries, but at the same time, all together, sometimes living together in the hall, sometimes, eating together, doing the practicing together, like a family, doing the trips together. So it was beautiful that, like, you in a family, it's like your second home. So you feel like you also having another family, you feel the kind of warmth and protection, and that everybody around really cares about you. The teachers, they support you so much. They're doing this on a voluntary basis completely, which really touches you as well, because you don't really come across anything like this anywhere else in the world. Teachers just wake up like 1-2 hours earlier than us. And we're already waking up really early just to make sure everything is ready for us. All the volunteers as well in the Bhiksha hall, when they serve us food, everything is done, out of their own will, just for us to get the best experience. And this is just something is always there with you. And that's also why I wanted to really be so intense and, have try to have the maximum experience and always be on and on and on. Also because of the push that I was feeling from everybody, everybody just creating that atmosphere for me to cross my limitations and
yeah, I think most wonderful thing so if I say, like, what is the precious thing you possess, it's not my property or something, or even not my family or anything else. It's a life that I have. That's the most precious thing I have. And they are giving their life, everybody is leaving their homes and everything, and not for money, nothing. They are not getting any money out of it or anything out of it, but just they're pouring their life for us to experience. So I think that's the most beautiful thing anyone can do for anyone. Like in family also, if we do something, somebody is also doing for us. In return, we are getting something there. Here, if we are doing something, we are getting in return something. There is no expectation. So that is the most beautiful thing you can give to someone. So it was too amazing for us to have such kind of teachers and how to be the teacher. So in all our podcasts and everything, this is for viewers, we talk about how the training was so intense and how it was very difficult for each one of us. But at the same time, I would like to clarify and say that it is such a wonderful experience and it is intense. But at the same time, after you are done with this 5 months training, the real journey starts from that. So I think how much, so like you're saying, you're on and on and on, but now you can feel the blissfulness, once you are done with it. So, yeah.
I did comment, they did ask me once after the training, and I was like, this has been the most difficult thing I've done in my life, but at the same time, the most rewarding.
Yeah, most rewarding.
And as you say, afterwards, you're just blissed out for like 1 or 2 months, because the kind of work you do on yourself is just so much, and you just realize, you're transformative. You become a better human being. You cross the limitations, and afterwards, you just really feel that, and you just, I don't know, it's like kind of a positive karma. You just feel the benefits of it, and you just feel so blissed.
Had you got a chance to do samyama as well?
So Samyama, I did apply for it this year, but due to the situation, worldwide situation with the virus, it was not possible to do it for me. But actually, yeah, for this year, because I wanted to, like gradually. So I was like, okay, I'm doing the teacher training now. I wanted to do the Samyama for 2002 in 2020, and so I had this schedule, but of course it hasn't been possible this year. But as soon as it'll be possible again, I would love to do that, and also come back to the ashram to do some volunteering there in the school, to help a bit as well for all the help I received. I feel also naturally not only teaching, but also to go back to the school and contribute. Even if it's a little bit, and see what I can do to contribute for that, and and then hopefully Mahashivratri as well, if it will ever be possible again. Hopefully, yes.
So how was like now you are full time doing a teacher? You're being a teacher and teaching. So I know the Corona situation, we were not able to do that much. After we pass out, I think we passed out into December, and I think from March, everything has been started. But still, so whatever live classes you have took till now or online classes, so how is your experience, and how is your sadhana now going on? And have you been able to teach your family some practices, and how does they feel about it? So if you can talk about that.
Sure. So I came back to Italy in January after the program, and it was very clear to me that I want to set up a studio and actually teach full-time, part-time, whatever it is, but absolutely prepare myself in a way that I'm able to, to teach to whoever is interested. So it took me a few months also because, now I'm in Italy, of course, all the classes are in Italian, have to be in Italian. So I was kind of preparing myself, and I'm lucky enough that in my apartment, there is already kind of a studio, which my father was using more like of an office space kind of thing. So I kind of reorganized it and made it into a yoga studio. And then was preparing, and it was funny because my mother was helping me out. I was teaching her my first classes, and she had done some yoga before, but she not only really liked it, like the practice and everything, but after she told me this is completely different from the kind of yoga that are around, like, and this is really like done in a profession. This is like the real thing, like everything is explained, and all the different aspects, like also like what exactly is happening to the system, why you're doing what you're doing, and also like she really enjoyed the practices, which is she's practicing every day now, which is incredible because she's very like kind of a lazy person. She's not very sporty, very active physically, but even then, at least the basic practice like she does every day. And it's crazy like how as well she really, and she even got into Sadhguru. Like I bought her a book, she read in 2 days. So it was like, and the feedback was very positive from her, and as well for me it was easier because I got prepared. I was feeling more comfortable to give classes. So I started to give my first classes in July. So it was after a few months. Also because it was the Corona situation, so it was complete lockdown, especially in Italy. It was quite tough. The restrictions, the lockdown was very strict. Then things got much better, summertime. So I started to do my first classes, individual ones first. The feedback was very, very positive. So I was like, okay, I want to take it further, always doing step by step. So I started to do group classes, and feedback was very good. The students that were coming to learn one practice, they would return. And as well, because I'm the only teachers in the center and south of Italy, so a lot of people would just travel to learn the practice. So they would come I don't know, 7-8 hour journey on a bus, just to come here and learn Apache, which is really touching. Or getting a flight and getting like a B&B and sleep here for 1 or 2 nights in the city to be able to do the practice. So it's just been to see the dedication of people coming from everywhere in Italy, just to learn the practices where they could do any kind of yoga they wanted in their own city and stuff, but they still wanted to do this. So it's very good that this is happening in Italy as well. In Italy, we have also like the foundation. We have like a big team now, volunteers, the translation team, channel, Sadhguru in Italian, on YouTube, which is almost getting like 100,000 subscribers. So it's getting a lot of interest as well in Italy. So I'm really happy to be able to be in a place now when there is also demand to be able to pass this on. And I can see the impact it has on all the students that have come here. For me, the experience is just so rewarding. It's very tiring. It's something intense to be a teacher. You always have to be on at the same time. You have to be attentive. You have to be precise. There's so many things you have to do, but it's so rewarding. You just feel after every program I do, I just feel like blissed out. I just feel I'm really doing something worthwhile. I just see the impact it has on other people, and the feedback I receive as well just really hits something within me. So I'm being blessed that there is a demand for it, that people are loving it, that everything's working out. Now there is another outbreak of Corona in Italy, so I had to suspend all the classes, from a few weeks ago. But it's fine, it's okay. I do my practices. So even with the Corona situation, actually the practice helped me out so much. So it doesn't really matter if I do this or I do that, what kind of situation is outside. I'm still always balanced, healthy, strongest immune system I can have. So that makes me really, tranquil. Like whatever happens, I'm good as long as I do my practices. So
Yeah. So if people have to contact you, how can they reach you for any online classes or live classes in Italy? So you can talk about it.
It's been a few months now. I created a page, a Facebook page, so you can find me on Nicola Carrillo, insegnante Isha Hatha Yoga, which is in Italian. And also with the other Italian teachers, we had a reunion in the summer. We met all together. And we were discussing as well how to work together and as well also to increase our digital reach. So we created a page as well, like all of us, as a group, which is called Isha Hatha Yoga in Italy. So mainly social media. I got plans to do a website as well, so I'm working on this. And then Instagram page as well. So yeah, the digital reach. So you can find me through there. You can also see pictures of classes, like previous classes in my studio. And now I'm doing a blog. It changes. I study every Thursday. Now it's every Wednesday, which I will post on my page, on Facebook page, and also all the other teachers are doing the same on different days of the week. So we will be doing that. So it will be posts from each one of us on the group page that we have together.
Okay. So I will give all the details of the Facebook and the website that you created into the description so that people can reach out to you for that.
Thank you.
At last, if you want to talk about Sadhguru, and you can end the session.
Sure. So he had such a huge impact in my life. I never thought the way I would experience life, the way I'm doing it right now, would be possible before. The way is really relatable also for us Western, in the Western culture, like very logical, very clear, very scientific, has made a huge difference for me. And I don't know, it just had it impacted my life on so many different aspects. His talks, his advice, the practices. So I'm really blessed. It's kind of like I hit a gold mine to find Sadhguru, to find Isha, to learn the practices. And it's very beautiful to see that his exposure is getting bigger and bigger. More and more people in the world are benefiting from all that he has to offer. And it's a huge privilege for me that I'm able to pass the practices, from Isha and also his teachings to as many people as possible. Is a huge privilege. And I feel really blessed and privileged. And the only thing I can do is just do the best I can to cross my limits, become a better and better human being with time, and just naturally to empower others to do the same, to do the same transformation on them, and to be able to give them the tools to do that. So,
thank you so much, Anna. Yeah. For you're doing an incredible job, and I think it's a huge responsibility also to pass on where there are limited number of teachers and all, and yeah, it's a huge responsibility all of us to what he wants to. We are just stepping. We are just. He's the one who does everything. We are just, we can say, the medium through which we can reach to other people's life in whichever way we can. So thank you so much for accepting this and for giving your time and sharing your journey with us. Thank you so much. Namaskaram, Anna.